What is going on, everyone? My name is Andy. Welcome back to another FPL video. In this one, it's team selection time ahead of game week 13. And let me tell you, right, I considered, because there's stuff going on in the house there, I considered recording this last night, and I thought to myself, what if there's a big injury in the Champions League that then changes your plans? Just wait. And then obviously Chilwell got injured. We don't quite yet know exactly what's wrong, but I've got him. I'm definitely going to talk about him, what the next plans are as well as we look ahead to game week 13. And I'm also going to go through quickly how I did in game week 12. So if you enjoy it, give it a like, hit that subscribe button if you're new around here, and let's jump into it. So game week 12 was another red arrow, right? This is the fourth red arrow in 5 game weeks. I think I was around 10k, just outside the top 10k, and I'm just inside the top 100k. So as I keep saying, that's probably okay for game week 12, but given where I was, it obviously could have been better as well. So I'm not particularly happy about where I am because of where I was. Not necessarily that top 100k is bad or anything like that. And it wasn't even that bad of a game. I got 69 points. I had 3 of the best 4 defenders. Jimenez chipped in as well, so he got the same amount of points as Jota, who was someone I wanted as well. And realistically, Jimenez would have probably been the make weight to get Jota anyway if I wasn't selling Antonio. And obviously Salah captain like everyone else. So it wasn't even that bad a game. But again, Reece James did really well. A lot of people had him plus Jota too, and he obviously did well as well. And maybe some people played Ben Foster, who got the assist instead of Ramsdale. So I feel like 69 points was okay. It was only a small red arrow. The problem is I've now had 4 out of 5 game weeks of small red arrows, and that is now equaled like kind of one big red arrow. So it wasn't great. Obviously, Reece James is a bit of a killer, and Chilwell now has got injured in the Champions League. I'm going to talk about how bad that might be in a minute. But just really quickly, Trent and Cancelo and Reece James and Chilwell up until the injury, and even Rudiger to a certain extent, what ridiculous defenders they have been over the last few weeks. And again, it's very hard to argue against them. But I have to give a shout out to Jimenez, because since I got him in, he's pretty much returned every single time. Or basically, I think he's returned like 6 in 7 starts, which is pretty nice for his price. He kind of went under the radar. A few people are looking at him now because obviously Norwich away and Burnley at home, which is pretty good. But yeah, happy with him. He was one of the few good decisions I made over the last few weeks. Otherwise, there's been a lot of bad ones. Foden has blanked again. That's 3 game weeks in a row now that he's blanked. He didn't even look that threatening either in the last game as well. So it's not been great. I feel like the score was okay, but it didn't reflect in a green arrow, and that's all that matters at the end of the day. So again, let's see if there's any way we can fix it, and we'll look ahead to game week 13. Okay, let's cover the defenders. 3 of them is going to be pretty quick. Obviously, I'm playing Ramsdale. He's got a better fixture than Ben Foster, although, who knows, maybe for the 3rd week running, Ben Foster will outscore him, but I've got to play Ramsdale, right? It's a good fixture for Arsenal. Cancelo and Trent, they're staying forever, maybe until they get injured. I mean, there is another Champions League games tonight, so who knows what might happen, but Cancelo and Trent are staying, obviously, for the foreseeable future. I've got no plans to get rid of them. My biggest issue is Chilwell, smack bang in the middle, and it does create a bit of a predicament for me. I'm like, it's a little bit annoying that I was already trying to get in the second Chelsea defender. Now everyone that's got 2 has got an easy Chilwell to Alonso swap, and I've got to make one transfer to get in him, and then another one to get Reece James, or vice versa. So again, I feel like I'm a little bit behind, but there isn't much I can do about it. Injuries happen in FPL. The biggest issue for me is I've got nothing in the bank. So everyone's sitting at the screen screaming, you know, just get Reece James, just get Reece James. It requires a hit, right? So it's gonna cost me 4 points to get Reece James. Now you might say that's a good move. Long term, Reece James is probably a long term hold. I get it. But Marcus Alonso is now an option as well. And let's not forget how attacking he can be. Now, given how well Reece James has played so far this year and how good he's looking, right? Another really good goal against Juventus. I am not sitting here, right? And please listen to this bit, because Twitter fails at this. I am not saying that that Alonso is a better option than Reece James, but the fact that I can get Alonso for free does make him a very viable option. And let's not forget that Alonso is very attacking as well, right? I've said a lot of times in the past that when one of Chilwell or Alonso is injured, the other one almost becomes must-have, right? So Alonso fits that bill because he is attacking, he can get goals, he might even be on some set pieces as well. So I do really like him as an option. And it wouldn't mean that I never get Reece James. It just means that maybe doing it for free this week is the move. I'll talk through what some of the hits could be for my team, but I just don't particularly like any of them, which is why I'm seriously considering Chilwell to Alonso. Now, some people are going to say, well, what about Azpilicueta? He came on. Is Alonso even nailed? This is a genuine question. This is not me trying to be smart. Let me know in the comments below when the last time that neither Alonso or Chilwell, when one or both were fit, started a left wing back for Chelsea under Tuchel. I'm going to assume I almost think it's probably never happened, but let me know below. The reason Azpilicueta came on apparently was Tuchel wanted to get him some minutes because he's hardly played since that shoulder injury, and there was a little bit of confusion that I think he was supposed to come on for Reece James, and obviously Chilwell got injured and the sub just happened anyway, and he kind of mentioned that he had to kind of say sorry to Marcos Alonso. So I've got no doubts really that Alonso is nailed. So I think he could be a better option than James for my team this week. I'm not saying he's a better option than James long term, because Reece James seems to have that right wing back spot nailed, and he is just looking brilliant right now. So that is the predicament for the defence. Do I take the hit for Reece James, or do I get Marcos Alonso for free? Bearing in mind, obviously, if Chilwell's fine, I'll keep him, but I don't think he's going to be. And I think at this stage of the season, missing 1 week in real life is like 2 to 3 game weeks. So I think I have to get rid of Chilwell this week, unless Tuchel says he's completely fine, he's going to play against Man United. But I just don't see that happening. So Alonso for free if Chilwell's out for a while, or Reece James for a hit. Let me talk about what those hits could be. Okay, so I think the midfield is looking kind of good this week, right? And Bomo, I know it's becoming a bit of a meme, right? Because every week I say, well, I definitely want to keep hold of him. But you have to remember, he is nice and cheap in my team. I think I only paid 5.4 or 5.5 million for him, so there's not really any downgrade I could possibly there's no downgrade I would want to do for Mbomo to fund the money for James. I only need 0.2 million, but there's not many midfielders under Mbomo's price. I also think Everton at home's not a bad fixture, and he's got some pretty good fixtures coming up, so I don't really want to sell him. I don't really want to sell Saka this week either, although I could go to Smith Rowe or to Gallagher this week. That would also give me the funds to go to Reece James, but again, maybe this is just a gut feeling. Maybe I've got this wrong, but holding Saka all this time, right, it's not been a great decision. He's obviously been poor. I'm not pretending otherwise, but I just feel like I've got to forget about that and look that he's lining up against Newcastle at home. It's probably not the week to sell him, but Gallagher or Smith Rowe does give me a few funds. It just depends on what I want to do in the future, because Saka's not really part of my plans after this week. I had looked at ways to upgrade him to Jota as one move, but obviously I can't really do that this week, especially with the Chilwell injury, unless I downgrade Chilwell. But there's no way I'm going into this run without a Chelsea defender. So I feel like Saka has to stay. Obviously Salah stays, and he's captain, right? Until he goes to African Cup of Nations, him and the armband is probably not going anywhere. So the other option is Foden. Now, he hasn't been fantastic since I bought him in. A lot of people have pointed out how wide he's been. I still feel like that has happened a couple of games. That doesn't mean it's always going to happen. There's nothing to say that he might not move central, although with Grealish out, he's probably going to play in that left wing spot quite a lot. West Ham at home is not a great fixture. The thing with Man City, right, and I know there's going to be rotation. I know at some point Foden's going to get rotated, but these fixtures afterwards are just so good. And obviously we know how good Man City... I mean, you know, it'd be better if there was like a Norwich at home thrown in there as well. Maybe a Burnley at home. Obviously, they've already played that game. But in general, this is a pretty good fixture run, and we know how good Man City are. And Foden has started 8 in 8, so he's not even getting rotated that often. So I don't know if that's going to start happening any more than normal. So I don't particularly want to sell him, but one of my kind of favoured moves this week is possibly Foden to Jota. Now, we still need to wait and see what Klopp says about Jota. He wasn't asked yesterday in the press conference about him, which is crazy. But Foden to Jota, again, gives the money to go from Chilwell to James. It's not a move that I hate, but again, I've got to work out then how I get rid of Saka later on. So they're kind of the moves. I don't really want to get rid of Saka versus Newcastle at home. I've held him this long, so I kind of want to play him in one of the best fixtures he's going to have all season, especially after seeing Newcastle, how Eddie Howe comes in and they still concede 3 goals, right? The defence is just poor. So maybe Foden to Jota is the one. Let's look at the attackers. So one thing I should have mentioned earlier is the bench, right? I don't really have a bench to bail me out this week. Omamamidele, Brownhill, just not really great options. And obviously Livramento, who has been great, still plays for Southampton, whose defence I just don't really rate that highly. And obviously Liverpool away is not a great fixture anyway. So this is, right, let's just say, this is just an example because I think he'll be out for longer. But if Chilwell just had the most kind of minor knock and was going to miss 1 game, then benching him, for those of you that have got good squads, could be an option. For me, it's just just not. So that is kind of one of the benefits of having a better squad, is you become more flexible, not being forced into transfers. I'm kind of forced into it a little bit. In terms of the forwards, like Kane's going nowhere. Would it have been better to buy Son and Pukki instead of Kane and Omobamidele? Right now, it's looking like it is, because we're one game down on Spurs' good fixtures. Neither of them got any points anyway, so time is running out for them to kind of repay that transfer. I would have had Pukki, which would have meant more points than Livramento, and also I would have had the money to go straight to Reece James this week from Laporte, and I would have also been able to do the Chilwell to Alonso move as well. So I could have, for a hit, I could have got both players in and kind of been set up quite nicely if I'd gone for Son. So long term, that might be a mistake, but let's see. Kane could smash it over the next few weeks. I mean, are Spurs going to smash it? I don't know, but Kane could smash it, right? He's that good. So let's see what happens over the next 3 weeks. If it was a big mistake, then it's a big decision to make in game week 16 about whether I go to Ronaldo or whether I downgrade him, right? I cannot sell Jimenez this week. I just can't do it against Norwich away. Him and Antonio provide a bit of a headache because next two fixtures are definitely better for Jimenez. Norwich away, Burnley at home. But then he goes into a run where he plays, I think it's Liverpool. I don't know the order, but I'm pretty sure it's Liverpool, Chelsea, Brighton, Man City in the space of 4 game weeks. It's an awful run. I've been planning to get rid of him in game week 15 for a long time. Antonio has Man City away, Brighton at home, Chelsea at home. Not great, but then the fixture run's quite good. So if I'm selling one from this week's perspective, it has to be Antonio. But long term, it needs to be Jimenez. But I just cannot sell Jimenez this week before Norwich. So the only other hit is Antonio. I can pretty much go to any player that's cheaper, like Tony, Benteke, Josh King, and get the money to do Chilwell to James. And obviously, if I went to Josh King, it would also probably give me enough money, or at least give me a better option for either getting Jota in for Saka the week after, or for getting Alonso in as well, if I still wanted to double up on the Chelsea defence. So Antonio downgrade does give options. The big decisions for me this week are, if I get rid of Antonio, at what point do I bring him back? And if I'm happy to wait until the Norwich game in game week 18, that's 5 game weeks without him. Right, so possibly that could be a good move. He's still got to play Man City and Chelsea, and Brighton's not even a great fixture either. So the fixture run is still quite poor. So for 5 game weeks, I could just downgrade, get someone else in. So Antonio to Josh King and just play Josh King against Leicester. Do Chilwell to James, obviously play him against Man United. Then the week after, make a different move and maybe bench Josh King in his tougher fixtures. That could be a move I do. It just depends on how badly I want that double Chelsea defence, because it is going to now take me an extra transfer or an extra bit of time to get there when everyone else is kind of already set on it. And I do love Alonso. You know I do, right? So if he's fit, I want him, but I also want Reece James as well. So there's lots to think about. I might do some tinkering in a second. Or do I just do the Foden to Jota move? There's lots to think about. I cannot sell Jimenez. I don't really want to sell Saka either. So there's not many players I can downgrade. It's really just Antonio or Foden for hits. Otherwise, it's Chilwell to Alonso. Let me know what you think below. Okay, I'm going to do a quick bit of tinkering, right, just to kind of show you what it looks like. So obviously the Foden to Jota move, I'm hoping he's fit, right, of course, and then Chilwell to Reece James. That gives me 0.5 million in the bank. So next week, right, with Saka's fixtures, he's got Man United away coming up. The fixtures afterwards are actually not that bad, right? There is a scenario or world where I keep Saka long term, even though I probably shouldn't, but it doesn't give me enough to obviously do much else with him. I might have to downgrade him, but I don't think that's too much of an issue. The problem is how do I get to Alonso, preferably for Omobamidele, not for Livramento, although I haven't completely written off selling Livramento at some point. But obviously, I'd rather have him as a bench option because he is pretty good. I did get him on him early. So I need 1.2 million to do that. So then that is a Jimenez downgrade in a couple of weeks' time after Norwich and Burnley. So that's one way to do it, right? If not, and I want to keep Foden, then suddenly I've got to find a way to go from Saka to Jota, because that would be my preferred way if I keep Foden. So I need to sell Jimenez down to like a 4.4 million, and then I'm basically playing 4-4-2 every week. So I'm playing James, Trent, Cancelo, Alonso every week, obviously until Chilwell's back, and then we reassess. I've got Jota in for Saka next week, and I still get to keep Foden. So that might not be a bad move, but I definitely don't want to sell Jimenez to a 4.5 this week. And this is where the issue kind of comes in for me. So I really need to decide. Sorry, you can't see Jimenez at the bottom there. I really need to decide whether I want that double Chelsea defence. And if I do, which I think I do, then I need to work out the best way to structure it. And I think the best way is just to go Chilwell to Alonso and just reassess next week how quickly I want to get Jota or Reece James in. Realistically, I'm going to have to take some hits along the way anyway, which makes it kind of less worse doing James for a hit this week. But again, I don't really want to sell Foden. I don't want to sell Saka or Jimenez this week. So I feel like the way I'm looking at it right now, I probably will do Chilwell to Alonso. And although never say never, if Foden goes and gets injured in the Champions League, then that kind of changes the game completely. It just depends how I kind of want to do it. Obviously, if I don't go for Alonso, then Jimenez to or even Antonio to Josh King is another way to do it this week. So I could just take out Antonio. Let's put Saka back in to Josh King. I don't know why I went to Leicester there when he plays for Watford. He's playing Leicester this week. And I do think there's a chance that Josh King's on penalties. That's kind of why I like him. So I do Josh King out for... Antonio out for Josh King, James in for Chilwell, and then I've got 2 million to spend. So that's a straight swap to Saka to Jota next week. And then I have to just decide whether I want, at some point, Alonso in a bit later on, maybe not straight away. So it just depends. Is that double up on Chelsea defence as strong now that Chilwell's out? I think it probably is, because Alonso's that good. I'm sure Chelsea are going to have to change the way they play, but we've just seen in the past that Alonso, one of his strengths is how good he is in attack. So we know that's what's going to happen. So that's another way to structure it. And then at some point, obviously, Jimenez would have to be sold for that bad fixture run. Maybe at that point, I'd go down to a Locadia or a Davis or something like that. But there's lots to think about. What do you think's the best route? Let me know below. There we go. That is the team selection. We'll have to wait and see what happens in the Champions League tonight. That might change my thoughts again. I'll probably do a final thoughts video on Friday. I quite like doing that just for any kind of stuff after the press conferences have happened or Champions League. Obviously, there's Europe on the Thursday as well. So lots to think about. Deadline stream on Saturday, as always. Game week preview tomorrow. If you enjoyed that video, please do give it a like. Hit that subscribe button if you're new around here. And I'll catch you again tomorrow.